5 species forever. White rhinoceros. After the arena. Niveus had yawned through what had been announced as the fight of the century. The placards at the entrance to the arena had been painted with pictures of an elephant and another hideous monster, this one with giant tusks on its head, which they called a unicorn. They would do battle in front of all Rome, and there would never be so much blood in the Colosseum again, or so the barkers promised. Who could have imagined such terrible beasts so close to civilized Rome? Just across the sea in the middle of the earth, apparently creatures like these roam the forests of darkest Africa in the millions. In the event, the elephant had come charging out onto the sand, ears flared like sails, to await the release of the unicorn. The audience gasped at its appearance. The same color, and perhaps 3/4 the size of the elephant, they were well matched. Niveus tut-tutted to see that the legendary beast had not one, but 2 horns. It was nevertheless remarkable, because no other animal on earth had horns so improbably on its nose. Niveus understood why this should be a good fight. Clearly such protuberances were meant as deadly weapons. Right in front, like a battering ram, but with sharp points. Oh yes, the monster could guide those weapons with the greatest precision. But it strolled into the arena as if it had no quarrel with anyone. The elephant saw it and trumpeted, standing its ground. The unicorn's ears flicked at the sound and looked about, only to move to the side of the sand near the gate. The public grumbled and then shouted their dissatisfaction. "Blood! Blood!" began the chant. The slaves poked the unicorn with their spears, and the beast turned around in circles, unable to escape the sharp ends. One slave fell on the unicorn's head and went sailing through the air to land twisted and crumpled, in full view of Caesar. At last a cheer went through the stands. More slaves goaded the elephant, and much better trained, it charged the unicorn and cornered it. The unicorn attempted to escape along the wall, while the front row of people craned their necks to look down at the close-up action. The slaves kept trying to make a satisfying show, and soon it was such a tumult that Niveus couldn't tell what was happening at all. In the end, the elephant had been gored in the stomach. Whether by accident or design, it was impossible to say. Its fall crushed the unicorn and several slaves, and the public booed and wouldn't rest until a team of gladiators fought to the death, while other slaves cleared the wasted beasts from view. Niveus knew they would harvest the tusks of both animals, and it was all very well to get some use out of them alive, but the promised spectacle had been about as boring as an afternoon at a butchery. By the light of the next morning, Niveus took his papyrus and plume in hand. His Greek friend, Pliny, was expecting a glorious combat to describe for his natural history. Niveus couldn't let his friend down. "My dear Pliny, yesterday I saw for the first time on the sands an animal I know you'll want to include in your natural history. As I don't know whether you've seen one, I'll describe it for you here. I believe in Greek it should be called Rhinoceros, because it has horns on its nose. This is a natural-born enemy of the elephant. It prepares itself for combat by sharpening its horn against the rocks, and in fighting directs it chiefly against the belly of its adversary, which it knows to be the softest part. The 2 animals are of equal length, but the legs of the rhinoceros are much shorter. Its skin is the color of boxwood." Niveus sighed. It seems they couldn't find fierce animals for the arena, no matter how hard they looked. This lightly fictional description would have to do.